Hello and welcome back. And in the last video, we bound all the Touch ID and Face ID logic and put that in place for our app. Now, in this video, what we're going to do is we are simply going to attach this button. Basically, when user taps on it, they will be presented with Face ID authentication, and if they authenticate themselves successfully, then they'll be able to log in into their journal app successfully. Alright, so we're gonna do just that in this video. So let's go ahead and get started. I'm gonna go to our login view, and inside our login view, what we're gonna do is we will create a new function. So let's find a good place for that function. So I believe this is the right spot, so let's create it here. Gonna call this one, this is gonna be an IB action, and IB action func. Okay, so we're gonna call this login with biometric auth, and it's gonna have a sender of type UI button. Okay, now let's go ahead and go to our storyboard and bind this action. So we are going to select our login view controller, and we're gonna bind this method right here to this button right here, and it's gonna be touch up inside. Okay, and that's it. So we are good with that. Now we'll go back to our view controller, and we're gonna start typing some logic in here. So first of all, we're gonna check if the user is authenticated. So biometric auth dot authenticate user. So basically, we're gonna when user taps on it, we're gonna create this authenticate user. Now, if you remember, authenticate user actually does scan evaluate policy. So basically, it checks if biometric auth is available, and if it is, then it actually evaluates based on device, whether it's a Touch ID or Face ID, and then presents a dialog box. If the authentication is successful, we get nil completion block returned, and if it fails, then we get a reason why it failed, and we return that as a completion block. Okay, just want to recap that. So okay, so now here what we can do is we can simply say message, and you can say if let message is equal to message. All right, so there's something in there, which means that there's an error. Basically, an error occurred, and we need to show that error. So what we can do is we simply going to say show alert, and that we're going to pass that message back there. Okay, and we're going to return from here, or we don't to return. Actually, you know what? We can take a different approach. We can say else. So if message is nil, basically, in that case, we can put the logic in place here. That's gonna save our password or retrieve our password from the keychain, and then it's gonna authenticate user with the username and password, and log them in. Okay, but we could have done this as well. So we could have done return here. I mean, there's no point writing return if we have else, but we could have done this way, and we don't need else block, and let's do this. Yeah, so both the variations are basically same. So let's do this one. Okay, so let if let username, first we're gonna retrieve the username, user defaults, standard value. So we're gonna get our username from our user defaults, and then we are simply gonna say do try catch. Localized description. So you're gonna print the error there. Now let's get our password. Okay. Now so retrieve password from password item. Read password. Okay, and then we're gonna simply say authenticate user with email. So we can supply username here and password that we have retrieved through the keychain. Okay, and if there's any error, we're gonna throw an error. All right, cool. With that, I think we are ready. So let's go ahead and relaunch the app, and that should actually do the trick. There we go. So let's press on this, and there we have Face ID authentication. We're gonna say matching Face ID, and there we have our journal launched. Okay, cool. So everything is working good. Let's create a sample. There we go. We're gonna save this. We have the journal created. We just sign out, and we're gonna sign back in using our Face ID, and there we go. We have our journal showing up just fine. Okay, so I do see an issue here. If you notice, the description is showing the journal title, and the title is showing the description. So we made a mistake here. So I want to go back and fix that. So this is our detail. So let's go our journal table view controller, and this one takes a journal entry. So title takes the title, and detail takes the detail. Okay, let's see. Title, detail. We're saving it. Then we save entry as. Okay, so I guess search journal entry. Let's see. I think this is where we are making mistake. Entry is your description. So I guess this should be entry, and the entry that we are supplying here, right here, details, and the title should be title. Okay, so let's go ahead and fix that, and let's check it out. Okay, so we're gonna matching face, and we'll create a new entry. Okay, so new entry, to make sure all is good, to make sure all is good. That is wrong. So yeah, here we forgot. This should be title right here, and we just flipped that while saving it. Okay, I should have noticed that earlier. Sorry about that. Okay, so let's go ahead and redo it one more time, and hopefully, okay. All right, another entry, with new text, another entry with new text. Okay, all right, so that is good. It's actually showing up fine. The ordering is because, like, we are creating like all back to back each other. You can actually sort them and by the time, and then display them so your most recent is shown at the top. Now I do have a challenge for you. So there are two challenges basically. One challenge is to sort this. So I would actually encourage you to figure this out. And if you can't, just post a question, and I'll be happy to help you out there. And second challenge for you is to basically have a delete functionality. So check out the documentation for Firebase. Add a delete button, maybe somewhere around here, or like another button right here to delete a journal from Firebase and refresh this page. Okay, so those two challenges is on your plate, and with all this, we there's one more thing. There's okay, so I gotta have like this loading HUD created as well. So let's do one thing. Let's create a new class. So I found this really useful HUD that shows, like, when some activity is going on. So let's say when you sign out and when you log in at this point, what happens is you basically don't see any activity, and it could be like it could be the internet is slow, and your user is still your app is still logging in your user into the system, but there's no way for the user to tell whether they actually successfully clicked it or not. So they might actually click multiple times and stuff like that. So in order to prevent that, there's a feature that we call HUD, that we show like a loading overlay screen on the top. So we can actually create that, and I found a really good utility for it. It's called shud, but the problem with that is, like, it's written in older version of Swift, so I had to actually convert it over. So I have the latest code for that. So basically what I'm gonna do is and create a new file and post that. First copy that content here. So let me do that, and then we're going to use that HUD to basically show the progress of our operation. Okay, so I'm going to select this and paste it right here. Okay, alright, so this is the HUD. It's going to be included, so if you want to read through, like, how it's created, it's very simple. But yeah, go through the code if you want to, and you're going to basically learn how to create it. We need to create some constants as well, so let me paste some constants because it's missing some of the constants here. So I'm going to go to constants file and create them here. Okay, now let's go back to HUD, and all the errors should be resolved. Okay, awesome. Now let's go ahead and fix our login view, and what we're going to do is when user actually clicks on that login button, we're going to show this HUD message, basically the HUD overlay, and when they actually succeed, I mean the login is successful, then we're gonna hide it. Otherwise, we're gonna basically if it errors out, then we can actually take it off and you're gonna show the error dialog. Okay, so let's go to our did tab, login. There you go. So what we are doing here is we are checking and we are authenticating users. So right here is a good place where we made sure that email and password are available. Then we can say shud dot show, and we're going to select the overload that takes a view. So we're going to say self dot view. We're going to show on this view. The HUD style is going to be light. Alignment is going to be horizontal. The type is going to be loading. Text is going to be loading or logging in. Please wait. Okay, completion is going to be nil. Okay, now once user is logging in, basically first of all, let's go to our authenticate user with functionality. So we're gonna find a place where we can basically put this hide functionality. So when we enter this function right here, when the sign in enters, it doesn't matter if the user has successfully logged in or there was an error. We're gonna simply say shud dot hide. Okay, so we're gonna hide it right there. That way we don't have to worry about it showing up somewhere else. Now when user is logging in using Touch ID, so logging with biometric authentication, and we get a message, we can actually I think we should hide it right here before it enters. So yeah, so let's hide it right here. Okay, that way user knows that if there's any error, we show them error, otherwise we log them in. Okay, now when we are logging them in, we are again going into this function. So I guess what we need to do is we should not hide it here. If we have an error, then we should hide it. Otherwise we should continue to show it until user gets to this authentication, so authenticate with. But if we get an error, then we need to hide it. Okay, and we're gonna go inside this functionality, and we are already hiding it here. Okay, so that's good. All right, so let's launch the app and see if we have covered all the scenarios. So first we're gonna log in using password. Log in, there we go, and we see everything working fine. Now we're gonna click on Face ID, and we're gonna say matching face. All right, so we didn't see any HUD over there, so oh, because we never added this thing. So let's add it. Let's create a function actually, because it'll be a little bit easier. So func show HUD okay, show HUD is already a function somewhere. Alignment type. Okay, so this is the function that is, I think, inside SD HUD, and it's actually defined in open like at the class level. Okay, so UI view controller. It's defined at UI view controller. All right. In that case, we won't be able to do that. We won't be able to call it that. I'm gonna call it okay, and we're gonna head dot. We're gonna do head dot show. Okay, and we're gonna say s HUD dot hide. All right, so in case where we are saying this, we're gonna say remove HUD. Okay, and where we are showing, we're gonna say display HUD. There we go. And for the touch ID as well, we need to show. So when user taps on touch ID, we actually get here. We say self dot display HUD, and if we get an error, we say basically don't show it. Otherwise, hide it, and otherwise continue to show it, and someone else would hide that. Okay, so let's run it and make sure it's actually working. Okay, and click on that, and face ID matching face. There you go. And all right, so I know, like, you saw that face ID is disappearing a little bit after, and it's actually our HUD is behind the face ID. Well, that's actually only simulator. When you're using actual device, the dialog box that's authenticating biometric authentication disappears rather fast, so it doesn't stay that long. It's actually one of the bug that I found on the simulator side, so you should be good. Now let's use password to log in, and we are good there as well. Okay, now let's do same thing on sign up side. So let's go to sign up view controller. I'm going to copy these two, and I guess, like, you might want to refactor these functions to put it in a constants file or something, and supply a view. That way you don't have to, like, copy and paste these, but I'm gonna just do it like here for the demo sake, but I would encourage you to refactor this. So did tap sign up button. As soon as user taps the sign up button, everything is good. So we're gonna replace this, and we're gonna say self.display HUD. Okay, and well, if there is any error, we're gonna save the credentials. If there's any error, we're gonna say self dot remove HUD. Gonna save credentials and update username. So save credentials, it's gonna basically save the credentials. So we're gonna say self dot remove HUD right here, and we should be good. Okay, so let's go ahead and launch. And now we should be able to sign up. Okay, so demo 8 at demo.com, password, sign up. Okay, we need to change our message here. Signing up, please wait. And one more thing, actually, I think we should not remove this here, because this is not the last instance. Last instance is right here, so I think we should remove here remove HUD, and we should remove if there's any errors. So remove HUD. There we go. Okay, let's run it again. Make sure everything works fine, and we are good with our journal app. So demo 9, password, and sign up. There we go. That's awesome. Let's use password to log in. Make sure. All right, so that is good. Now we have successfully finished our app, and there are some challenges for you as well. So I would actually encourage you to finish those challenges to learn a bit more about Firebase and authentication, and go through this. I would really appreciate if you can leave some awesome feedbacks and awesome reviews. And in the next video, I'm gonna post a so the series is done, by the way. We have successfully completed everything, and you should be really proud to finish this off, and you have a working app that you can now publish into your own basically into the App Store with your own name in it. So in the next video, what I'm going to do is I'm going to post a coupon for my other courses, and you can use that, and it's actually for most of the courses is 95%, so it's like $9. You can get any course with that coupon code. So I'm going to post that there, and I think with everything else we are all set. I'm going to post this code into the this project, into the exercise as well, so you can actually download this. If you run into any issue, you can actually refer this this code as well. Okay, all right, so I really appreciate you guys sticking around and basically finishing this series, and I'm very proud of you, and you should be proud of yourself as well. Thanks again.